What's up, gang? Carlton Flowers here, your crypto pro with a special report. Tonight, we are looking at a bloody market, and I just wanted to go over all of the favorites, starting out with Bitcoin, and discuss the action, because this is a significant development in the market. It looks like we are definitely in the midst of a downward swing channel, a downward trading channel. So starting with Bitcoin, what really caught my eye was the fact that we are tipping down on the 4-hour chart, where we have a confirmed candle that is below the previous low right here. So we have a lower low. Here's number one, here's number two. It is in. So that means that we are in a definite downward trending swing channel. So that means that we will be fighting our way, bouncing off of this this descending resistance line and bouncing off of a descending base. But what we need to look at right now at the moment is what's happening down in the stochastic. We are diverging with the fast line and the slow line. The percent K blue line is well below the percent D line. Look at the space in between the two here. And we have not even yet gone below the 20% line to take us down into oversold territory. Actually, yes, that is set at 20%. 20% is the line. That is the boundary. When we dip down and we're trading in this area, that's oversold. When we're trading in the area above 80%, that is overbought. All right, moving right along, looking at the MACD. This is looking very, very bearish. Why? Because we have yet another crossover here where the MACD looked like the oscillators were going to try to fight their way back up to the zero line, but instead they have diverged and we have a crossover here. Whoops, turn drawing mode back on. Right there, there's a crossover. So we have the fast line dipping way beneath the slow line, the red line. We also see that we're now printing red bars on the histogram. We're below the zero line. So this is just getting started here. And we see that we were a lot farther on the last dip with the histogram. It's just beginning here, which tells me that by the time this cycle completes, when we're down here, that's going to possibly return a significantly lower price. We could be dipping down into the mid 40s by the time that this is done. And we have heavy volume, heavy sales volume that's pushing this current dive. So what I would look to see that could happen within the next day or two is probably a rebound. And so everyone might get all happy once we say hit the bottom of this swing channel. And then as soon as the next stochastic cycle starts, if we can dip down into oversold and start to move up for the next up cycle, if that happens, because it's not always guaranteed that a stochastic is just going to make a perfect sine wave. That's a perfect sine wave. It doesn't always happen that way. We can see how sloppy and messy that the stochastic can act when outside influences come into play other than just regular trading. That's why it looks so messy. Well, anyway, once we get to the bottom of this trading channel, I would suspect we're going to bounce up, and then we'll probably bump our head on the top line of the descending resistance and then start moving down again for one more dive. And then we can just start counting. How many times is it going to take that we hit a lower low before we get done with this downward trading channel? So this was number one. There's number two. There's probably going to be a number three. Now, let's just zoom out here and go to the one-day chart, and we can make a little bit more sense with it and see the big picture. So here we are. When we look on the one day, we see these bottoms that were formed. We have a bottom here from a correction, and then a higher low. Then we have another higher low on each correction. And then this is the one that started to confirm that we had failure, because this right here was the first lower low when we touched on the 50-period EMA line, and then we bailed right off of it. Now it looks like we are headed to the 200-period EMA, which to me could be a bottom. If if we have the worst case scenario, we could bounce right here somewhere around 40,000. That's a worst case scenario. I'm not saying that that will happen, and don't take this as financial advice, but it is certainly possible with this bearish stochastic that is just now dipping into oversold zone on the one-day chart, and with this MACD where the oscillators are looking like they are ready to jump down in here into the negative territory. It is possible that we could jump all the way down to 40,000 and touch on the 200-day EMA line. All right, so let's zip this back to the 4-hour and move right along and check out some of the favorites that I have. XRP is one that I'm looking at because I might want to grab a bag of this by the time this nastiness is done. And so just tonight, I have been looking and waiting and watching to see. I was saying earlier on the board in the Telegram group to watch to see when we hit the 200 period EMA, and we did. We've touched down on that, and we're sitting on it. No, we're at $1.13 right now. Or are we sitting on the line? I'm sorry, we are on the 200 EMA right now at this moment. That's it. I think it is looking like we could fail that line. And why? Well, the stochastic is looking bearish, even though the %K, the blue line, notice how it's trying to curl back up and maybe cross over that red. I don't think it's going to make it. I think it's going to dive back down again. And why is that? Because the MACD is looking very bearish, and the %K blue line is taking a nice little dive right here, falling below the red slow line, the %D. So that tells me that we've got a ways to go. And then we're just now printing, just like BTC, we're just now printing the red bars on the histogram. This could get worse, and these bars will probably dip down to that level before it's done, which means we could fail the 200 period EMA. Well, what happens if we fail that? Where are we going from there? Well, I'll tell you what I think could happen. I think we would be headed towards this volume node right here. Here we go. And that would send us at a price of approximately 80 cents. Is that around 80 to 90 cents? And if this level is failed, if we jump into this volume node and it fails, which it very well could, because notice this wick took a dive all the way to the bottom of this volume node. Yeah, it did. So if we revisit that again and we hit into what I like to call the slip zone. The slip zone is this area here where there's not very much popularity of volume for the prices on the volume profile. I talk about this volume profile a lot, and that means what kind of volume do we get at a specific price. So in these areas, trading in this zone right here, you can see these are not very popular prices for the institutional buyers and the market makers to trade. And so what could happen is when we get into this area, we tend to slip fast and fall to the next node, which is right there. We could see, again, a price of XRP headed down towards 50 cents, just a little bit above it at the bottom of this market. If that happens, I'm going to go all in. Now, again, I'm not saying that it will happen because it might not. We could get a bounce here on the 200 and move back up to this volume node. But what worries me is that Bitcoin is in free fall and it usually leads the way. All right, let's just jump into a couple more real quick. We'll look at Ethereum, which is not looking as bad, even though we've got a pretty good vertical dive. This looks like cliff diving to me. We're going to just start right here at the top and bail off. And maybe we'll dive into this big pond here at this huge volume node. Actually, we have two volume nodes that I think are targets. We already touched on one. Notice how price wicked down to the 200 EMA. And look at this. There's a volume node that pokes out right there at that price. So if we hold this, we could bounce up. If we don't hold, what's going to happen? We're probably going to jump down to this next volume node that is at the POC, point of control price of 1789. It's possible. The stochastic has not begun to fall. We have just come out of overbought. And look at this. We're just in the top section of the neutral zone. We have a long way to go. If the stochastic decides to cycle all the way down, we might be headed toward this lower volume node. And look at the MACD. Wow, there is a cross coming within hours right here. The fast line is about to overtake the slow line and dive below, and we're still in the green zone. We're printing green bars, but where's the momentum? The momentum is going down. We're headed towards the zero line, and we will head into this zone underneath zero where we start printing red bars. All right, now let's just look at one more because I didn't want to get too deep into this and have too many coins, but LINK, chain link. Once again, we're down here at the 200 period EMA, and we have violated it. We've already broken it. We're trading below it right now. And with this stochastic right here in the middle zone, the momentum is headed down, guys. So we're going to head down in here into the oversold zone, and this beautiful MACD that rode so high during this peak is ready to balance it out like the yin and the yang and jump down here into the negative zone. So look for some red bars to be printed on the histogram, and look for the oscillators to take a nice deep dive down here into negative territory. How long will this last? I don't know. It could be days, it could be weeks, but that's all I have for right now. I'd love to hear your thoughts on what's going on, and do you see this as a buying opportunity? I do. It might be time to cash in the chips, not cash in the chips, actually cash in my tin can collection at the recycler so I can get a nice bag of change and invest into some of these bargains that are about to come up. This is Carlton. Let me know what you think. I'm out.